Recording now. Recording now.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, just to kind of reiterate, we're like 6 weeks away from state, so we just want to make sure that everyone has the information that they need, that everyone feels comfortable going into it, and then we're gonna start preparation for the international conference, which happens in April. The one big resource that you can always go to is under Remember Resources on our website, which is what Randy's at right now. It's the conference packet. I can't really see the screen well enough to see exactly what it's called, but it's pretty much our compiled edition, UNLV style of all the conference information. It's a PDF form. The only thing to keep in mind is we did kind of change a couple of the deadlines because, like, for example, state conference, we can't have the deadline be past due because then no one would be going to state. So we adjusted it a little bit. We have state conference deposit as well as international conference deposit being due on the same day. That being said, if anyone has problems with deadlines or you need to split it up between paychecks or something, like, just talk to us and we can work out a payment arrangement. The biggest thing though is we need everyone's contract. Nikki's working on updating our contract in the website form right now to where everyone can register for state and nationals. We're probably going to combine them into one form, and you would just indicate if you're going to one or both, and then it would pretty much ask you like your availability so that we can set up the competition preparation sessions, and then also what you're competing in. Now, if you have no idea what you're going to compete in, we're going to go through some of that today. And then the other thing is you can feel free to meet with me or Randy or Cecilia, and we can kind of talk you through some of the competitions and get a feel for maybe what you're going for. You can also attend the international conference without competing, or do like the challenges that happen at the conference. So again, we'll get into some of those details, but this packet will pretty much show you everything. It'll tell you what the conference is about, what to expect, what our travel dates are if you're trying to figure out how much time to take out from school. There's estimated costs for each. So I think right now we have state conference set at about $300 a person, national set at $1,000. Keep in mind, both of those amounts are without fundraising. So if you never touch fundraising, if you're not participating with the chapter, if for some reason we get absolutely no money from CSUN or Nevada DECA, which in the last 3 years hasn't happened, but worst case scenario, that's how much you'd be paying. The other option you have with like nationals is if you have frequent flyer miles or ticket vouchers or something, you can book your own flight. That kind of makes it cheaper sometimes if you have that option. So we do kind of allow some flexibility. With state, it's literally an hour and a half away. It's in St. George, so we're probably just all going to carpool and split the cost of gas and a rental car. It just makes it easy, and we'll all just kind of pick up from UNLV. So there's a Q&A section, like anything you need to know. We'll go through kind of an informal Q&A. And then the last page that Randy's scrolling to right now is kind of a schedule of guidelines and things to know. Some resource pages, some different links in case you can't find them. So definitely thumb through that, get to know that piece of information because it'll link out to some of the resources we're going to show you today. So the major deadlines you need to be aware of is the contract or the registration form is probably going to be due next Monday. We're currently having it voted on by the officer team and looked over by our state management. So as soon as we have that, you guys will have about a week to turn around that form. And then the deposit will be due on the last Friday of the month, which I believe is the 29th. It's $150 for nationals, $50 for state. The reasoning for that is so that we can start booking hotel for state and start booking everyone's flights for nationals. Even if you're booking your own flight through voucher, we still need a copy of your itinerary so that we know that you're locked into going. And we still kind of need your deposit so that it's more of a promise you're going. So keep that in mind. All of those dates should also be on the UNLV DECA calendar, which if you don't already have linked, again, on the website, it tells you how. I think the other thing we wanted to go to is the national website. So the big thing about these conferences is that, to give you a brief rundown history, so the reason we go to state in Utah is because Nevada DECA for collegiate doesn't have a state conference. We have high school, but we don't have collegiate. So what they've done is that being said, it's not a qualifier. So there's no risk in going. If you go and you lose, you still get to go to nationals if you want. If you can't afford to go to nationals, but you're still wanting to compete or see what it's like, state's the perfect way to do that. It's super cheap. There's not really a designated hotel, so we can bargain hunt. It's a lot of fun. Like, you just get to get kind of that experience under your belt before you can take it to the next level, pretty much. There's basically 3 different types of competitive events. There's your role play events, which are done single. You are required to take an exam. Typically, those are about 30 minutes to prep, 15 minutes to role play. There's several listed on the website, as you see Randy kind of showing you. They've got sample role plays, sample exams, sample performance indicators. We'll go through a lot of that more in depth in the competition preparation session, but this is a good way to figure out what event you want to do and if you think you pair up well. Then you have your case studies. The case studies are typically done in a team of 2. You don't have to do an exam, so if you're not into the whole doing tests and whatnot, this might be more your avenue to go. You typically have around an hour to prep and then 30 minutes to role play. Sometimes more. I think there's a couple that might be a little bit more than that, but it's definitely longer than what high school typically gives you. And then the last one is your prepared events. So those are the ones where you actually come in with either a prospectus and or a presentation. Not all of them have reports, but what I tell people is if you already know that you're doing a big report or an essay or something in class, you can easily incorporate that into DECA and kind of kill 2 birds in one stone. Or if you're looking at a huge project you're trying to do later, like, you can get a jump start on it now. So there's a lot of different ones. Some of them are themed, some of them have topics, some of them have different companies associated with them. Again, there's samples and things on the website that you can go through for those. The big key thing with the way that we prep at UNLV is that we, from pretty much day one, pair you up with a list of professionals in the area that can help you prepare before you get to the conference. And that goes for both role plays, the role play case studies and prepared events. We do that so that you have a way of getting to know the industry tips and getting to know what they're expecting from the judge's perspective. And you don't feel as in the dark about presenting things. It's not just theory. It's actually, hands-on. This is what you should be doing. So we have them come into our preparation sessions and work with all of the students on their different events at each of the sessions. Nationals is a little bit different because, like I said before, if you don't necessarily want to compete, they have what's considered challenges. So they have an entrepreneurship challenge, a National Management Institute challenge, and a culinary challenge. Those can be done either single or team. If you go in single, you would get paired up with a team. But those are done strictly at the conference. There's really no way to prep. I have some samples from past years, but you go, it's on the fly and you see how you do stacked up against everyone else. They're pretty intense. You can also do some of those as well as the role plays. Those, again, I think are somewhere on the website. I don't remember exactly what link, but they are in there if you want to explore. I think they're under the actual ICDC conference, and then they explain them there. We've had people that have competed in both the Entrepreneurship Challenge and the Culinary Management Challenge. They really liked it. They didn't win, but they loved it. So those are also options if you're looking into something kind of different. Trying to think. The cool thing about this year's ICDC is it's in DC. We went to DC 2 years ago. They're probably going to have it in DC every 2 years. The reasoning for that is to put collegiate as close to Capitol Hill as they can. They get a lot of really cool speakers. The hotel's right next to the Smithsonian's, which is free, like tons of museums for free. Lots of stuff within walking distance. We typically try and do a tour while we're there and really get to see the area and take pictures and things. It's just, it's an awesome kind of travel experience on top of what you would typically do at a conference. When you're not competing, you're in sessions. You have a lot of cool opportunities to meet industry professionals, get to pass out your resume, talk to people from all over the country. Last year when we went, there was even, like China, Puerto Rico, and like 2 other countries even, I think, that were represented on the collegiate end as well as Canada. So like it's a huge just immersion of different culture and getting to meet people and talking to them about industry, and you get paired up in your track. So you're with people that are related to your field the entire time, and it's an awesome experience to get to see. Randy, am I forgetting to cover anything else? Was there another topic I needed to hit?
I think you cover everything.
Okay.
Just know that competition camps, it really does help. So
Yeah, so how we form competition camps is basically after you submit your form and you register and you decide that you're committed. What we would do is we take the availability, figure out what dates we do the competition prep. The ICDC people will start meeting every other week in February. SCDC, we're probably going to meet solid every week from when school starts to state. Again, that'll depend on people's availability. I'm not going to make you guys miss class or work or anything like that. Yeah, like I said, the confidence level is the biggest thing. So I want to try and build your guys' confidence going into the conference and make sure that you're comfortable. The first thing we typically do with everyone is sit down and go through the website more strenuously. We go through it in person, all of us in the same room. We go through some sample role plays. You get to see one live in action. We'll go through prepared events. We kind of talk about mini deadlines along the way, make sure that you're prepared. We talk about setting you up with mentors and that whole thing. So there is a progression. It's not just like, hey, ready, set, we're throwing you in the deep end. Like, we do have a progression of how to get you guys ready. So this is just kind of the starting point of conversation of, are you sure you want to commit? Are you positive you want to go? Start talking to your professors. Make sure you can take off the time from school. We do have letters that if you need to verify absences and that sort of thing, they understand it's for educational. It's not just like you're taking a mini vacation. So if anyone needs letters, we have those.
to add on, for state, if you compete in Utah State, if there are any cash prizes, it won't go towards you. It only goes to Utah students. So if you place first, you're supposed to receive a $500 cash prize. It goes to a Utah student. But
I wouldn't quote that just yet. So
never mind.
Possibly. Okay, so to kind of go off of that, Nationals does have cash prizes associated with some of theirs. It depends on the event you're running. With state, they typically get scholarships for their events so that people can go from state to nationals. It's going to depend on the event and what that sponsor intended their money to go towards. But there has been some flexibility that I've been told that depending on what events people win, they'll give us the full reward for it. It's just we have to remember, if somebody sponsors, they typically want the money to stay within Utah. But it, like I said, it just depends on what that money is supposed to be used for and who's sponsored and that sort of thing. But I was told this last time that there might be some flexibility.
And then for maybe who competed at SCDC for the high school division. So if you go to the collegiate ICDC, there's fewer people, but don't think that having fewer people means less competition. Everyone has different experiences and how prepared they are in their competitive event.
Yeah. So at this point, I just want to kind of open it up. If you have a question, go ahead and unmute your mic and we'll answer any questions that you might have right now. Anyone?
Oh wait, let me unmute everyone. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? So from previous, if we do secure CSUN's funding as well as other funding as well, what happened a couple years ago is that for some students, they only paid about $200 just to go to ICDC. And then anything else for food. And then some students got refunds, but don't bank on that. So just be prepared that it may cost $1,000.
Yeah, like Nevada DECA gives us $2,000 to go, and then CSUN is going to be potentially funding part of it as well, but we don't know until we go in there and we present with them what they're going to cover and what they won't cover. It's a year-to-year thing, so we don't want anyone to count on it, but it's a strong potential that no, it's not going to cost you the full $1,000. The other thing that it depends on is how many people go, because honestly, the less people that go, the more expensive it ends up being per person. But I also know some ways around it as well. With state, it may be more the opposite, is that the less people that go, the more cheap it will be because it's closer. So a lot of it depends on that registration form, which is why we need it in sooner rather than later, is so that we can determine costs a lot quicker. We can get flights booked quicker. Like right now, flights round trip are $216 a person to DC. So the sooner we can book flights, the cheaper it's going to be on everyone. The sooner I can do advanced purchases on a rental car, the cheaper it's going to be for Utah next month. So I mean, like that's a lot of it, is just how many people go and who else doing what, and then like guy to girl ratio and that whole thing. So does anyone else have any other questions just about like competition, or if they want to go, or just general questions?
Nicholas?
So you mentioned earlier, I don't know if I understood it too well, but is the $300 a flat rate, or is that still negotiable?
So that was based off of if we had quad rooms, staying 3 nights in Utah. I think it was 3 or 2 nights, I don't remember, but we did the calculations earlier in the year based off of how many people we thought would be going. So it won't be a finalized amount. I don't see it being any more than that.
More than 300?
I don't see it being any more than 300. If it's going to be anything, it would be less.
Oh, okay.
And that would include your ground transportation, so it's driving up there, gas, the hotel, and then conference registration. So the only thing you would need to pay other than the 300 would be your meals.
Okay.
So yeah, like it covers you for like 2 or 3 days, I believe.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Actually, does anyone have any doubts about any of these conferences? Like, what kind of doubts do you have?
Like on whether they can go or not? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Quick question. I think you're going to talk about this later. Where would we get the contracts?
So they'll be open on the website as soon as they become open in the next couple of days. We're hoping like 24 to 48 hours from now. We will email everyone and remind them of the deadlines and give them the link to the website. It'll be on the unlvdeca.com website, but it's just like your member registration form, but it'll be labeled, conference registration. Like I said, we're just waiting on the okay from our state management team and a vote from the officer team to make sure that it's finalized, because we had to redo the contract this year.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
So this is just a personal question, but like how different would you say the high school SADC is from the college SADC?
Okay, so high school compared to college, how would I describe it?
Well, Bianca on the channel placed finals, and she did her business research the night before. But she did.
Well, that's nationals, though. He's asking more about the state.
Oh, sorry, state. Never mind.
Yeah, so a state-to-state comparison. Here's the thing about state high school is that when you go, you have a good majority of the people in the room that are forced to be there. You're struggling on attending workshops. Like, there's excitement, there's momentum, but in my opinion, at the collegiate level, people tend to take it a lot more seriously. That being said, they still have fun. Don't get me wrong. And there's a couple people on the line, you've been to Utah, you know that they have fun. So, like, that's still in there, but I think it is more intense. It's more of that, I'm here because I know I'm going to get a career out of this. I'm here because this is my passion. Like, you get a lot more of that energy off of it than at high school, where it's just kind of, I'm here because my teacher asked me to be. So that's for one, is just like the attitude and the energy going into it. And then the second thing is just the intensity from the role plays itself, like your event, because like I was saying, role plays at high school level, you get 10 minutes to prep, 10 minutes to role play. At collegiate level, you have half an hour to prep and 15 minutes to role play. Like that in of itself, they give you more data, more info. You really have to be on top of your game with organizing it and making sure that you can present to that judge. And they kind of expect it out of you. So prepared events as well, like they place those judges well, especially at a state level. So like the people you get, like they mean business. So I mean, those are the differences I've noticed. Does anyone else want to chime in? I mean, Bianca, I know you've been to nationals. Blaze, you've been to Utah and CLA.
Yeah, they're all old.
They're all old. Oh wow. Anyone else have any questions?
Can I add for collegiate DECA, like how many times would you recommend to go to state or international? Would you do it like one time, or would you do it like when's the best time to do it? Because I'm a freshman, I'm not sure if because I know a lot of you guys are seniors right now, and I don't know if you guys are going to do it again next year or if you guys did it last year. I mean, how many times would you recommend going to state and these competitions?
Okay, so I'll tell you, me personally, when I was in college, I started when I was a junior, and I was pretty disappointed I didn't start as a freshman. So like my personal opinion is if you can afford it and you can make it happen with your schedule as far as like work and school, go as many times as you can. If you run into Daniel Denev, he has been to ICDC for 4 years now as a collegiate member, and I think he also went during high school. We have a couple of people that have been going to conferences, state, fall leadership, or nationals pretty much every year. They've just had to pick and choose based on their school and work schedule. But I would go as much as you can, because the thing is if you start out as a freshman, I could almost guarantee by the time you're a senior, you're going to walk away with a first place medal. Like it's just as much as you can practice, as much as you get in front of our judges, and the more experience you can build, the more likely you are to finally be able to place. And I can also tell you that having those placeholders on your resume has gotten me interviews. Like having it, they may not know what DECA is, they may have no idea, but the fact that it says international finalist, it's enticed them enough to bring me in for an interview. So it's a huge game changer. And that's not me blowing it up because I'm like extreme into DECA. That's just honest experience on the table. Randy, I think you said something to someone the other day. Like, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh, sorry. Just to add, we have about 8 minutes left.
Okay.
I think, truthfully, like everyone's dream is to get that first place plaque. So really, like you can't bank on just feeling comfortable, because the competition camps will definitely get you where you need to be to compete against people who are experienced with you. So like the judges we had last year, I had an advertising campaign. Sarah told me my plan sucked and that I need to really figure out, and then they gave me tips on how to fix it. And then they also had gave me their email addresses, like contact them offhand so that they can give me like more guidance. So yeah. So overall, the dream of getting that first place plaque, you gotta get it. You just gotta get it. I think that, and also the feeling of being with like so many collegiate DECA students from around the world is really awesome. Like the feeling is like crazy. It's like it makes you feel like you're part of something like bigger. Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks for the advice.
Does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap up here? All right, so if you have anything else, feel free to shoot an email over to unlvdeca@gmail.com, or me and Randy are on Facebook. So feel free to grab us on there, ask questions. I will not judge you. There's no such thing as a stupid question, so feel free. As soon as we have that contract ready to go, we will have a 7-day deadline out from when it's released. We'll get that email to you guys, so make sure to watch your email. Be talking to other people as well, even if they're not DECA members and you think this is interesting to them, have them sign up for membership this semester to have them go with you. I'm all for you bringing in members. So just think about it, mull it over. If you have any other questions, let us know. And as soon as we have everything ready to go, you will see it in your email.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
Alrighty. Thank
All right.